seeing other people say, hey, why do people hate this so much? I had fun. Please tell us.
Well, and so that is kind of me in a nutshell. In my the way that I approach things is I kind of view things on a different scale in general. I've said this elsewhere, but I come from a much different background. I am blue collar at my core. I ran a trucking company, worked in automotive, like all these different things, right? And so I'm around these types of people that they just wanted to spend some money to have fun at the theater, right? And they're not stuck in our microcosm of like the online sphere of the YouTube conversations of the hypercritical analysis, right? So like, and that was a lot of my motivation for creating Criticless, right, is to make this atmosphere where regular people could come and see the thoughts and opinions of just your standard everyday viewer, right? Where somebody's just going to go in and they're like, hey, I'm going to buy a bucket of popcorn. As long as I understand what's happening on screen and it looks good and it feels good and I get good action and music and whatever, like I have fun and I can walk out and be like, hey, I took my kids and this wasn't inappropriate. I wasn't mad about seeing it and I had a good enough time. And so that's kind of when I go into these type of blockbusters, I'm like, look, if I can come away from it and be like, hey, I had an exciting time. What I saw with my eyes was cool. Like it was interesting. And what I heard with my ears and this awesome, Trent Reznor soundtrack with 9 Inch Nails, like it was awesome. Not as good as Daft Punk, but it was good. Like I got the vibes. And Tron for me has always been the vibes. Legacy in general was a vibe. And this movie was still that vibe. Was it as good? No. But was the director attached as good? No. So yes, this movie absolutely has flaws, but I'm sitting there watching the film. I'm tapping my foot. I'm digging the music. I'm liking what I'm seeing. There's cool tech happening, whatever. I'm getting pulled from action story beat to action story beat, and I had a good enough time. So it's like I could see just an average standard viewer that's not a critic, that's not somebody that's trying to pick things apart, go in and be like, I had fun. And I think that there is an audience that is doing that. I don't think that most of those people are even coming away being like, this is the best film I've ever seen. And every film doesn't have to be that, right? And so that's kind of where I'm coming from with my approach on this movie, and I do with other films, and I did with Minecraft and some of these other goofy movies that a lot of people in the sphere absolutely hate, but I'm like, yeah, but it's fun, right? Like I had fun. So that's typically how I approach these blockbuster, get a bucket of popcorn and chill, and that's what this movie was.
Now when you say nothing objectionable for kids, I assume you mean gay shit. So there is something when I see, like, for example, if Greta Lee was really the focus, why wasn't there some romance with her and another character?
Right.
Which to me, whenever 69. A character, you can look on it as she might have been gay. He might have been gay. I mean, they don't overtly say that. She might have been.
She exuded zero sexuality. Just real quick to respond to that, bro. For 10 years, I was blue collar in a kitchen. You know what we complained about? Shitty movies.
Right.
Shitty movies. Well, honestly, all I heard from that is I'm glad that you and regular people like TV dinners, but we can step it up a bit and you'll all still enjoy it. But the level of quality and acceptance has just gone so far down. And no, it's just not even the same vibe at all, by the way. Not even the same vibe.
I love popcorn movies. I love popcorn movies. But if you don't have at least likable characters that you want to follow, I think that's then pretty spectacle doesn't matter. And the first two films had such charm, filled with likable characters and compelling villains. In the original, the MCP and Sark, and the Tron Legacy as well, with Clue continued on that and had a new creative vision too. So it wasn't just copying everything. It felt unique in its own way and pushing it forward. And they accompanied, that interesting story accompanied the stunning visuals and epic soundtrack. And I expected no less from this film. Going in, I just thought, even if it was simple stories can be great. I loved F1 and Tron Legacy was simple, but it had heart. It had a story I could follow. And I just left with more questions about why is the permanence code in Alaska when it's literally sitting in the NCOM building the whole time? Why was that a thing? Why did that? And there's just so many questions that just it didn't have to be lore intensive, but it could at least just been filled with likable characters that I cared about.
Right. And I'm not denying any of that. And I mean, that's the thing, is that this is absolutely a case of style over substance all the way across the board. And I'm not going to deny that or say that this is a perfect story, because it's absolutely not. And there are messy things. And like I said, I have a strong feeling that they did pick this apart. I think it's more of my approach of And I get what you're saying about, there are plenty of people in that blue collar world or whatever that do complain about bad films. And I'm not saying that it's invalid to say that this is bad or even to not like it. I am just saying that a lot of the discussion around film has become so like hyper polarized and aggressive in there, even like with the whole slop terminology, all that stuff. Like there is a layer of aggression to it. And so when there are people that aren't part of this sphere that have not heard it, they're just like, why am I being insulted for having fun at this movie? Like, where it's like, I get it. It's kind of that analogy of going to a Michelin star restaurant versus having your favorite cheeseburger. And sometimes you want one or the other, right? And sometimes it's okay to go and eat a shitty cheeseburger and be like, this is a delicious cheeseburger and I enjoyed it. It was kind of shitty, but it was still great, right?
This isn't a shitty cheeseburger. It's cheeseburger in a can. And I'm glad that people that are upset saying that you loved it, great. We will never see another Tron movie. It's going to make less than Morbius. Right. So you might have enjoyed it, but now because of it, because you only had one element, bright lights, we are never going to see another Tron movie. As opposed to if they respectfully treated the lore and done all the vibe and style, then it would have resonated more.
I agree. I mean, I agree that they should have stuck to the lore. I am not arguing with you there. I'm pissed as shit. Like I left the movie actively mad that we didn't get Sam. Like that was complete trash. That we didn't get Cora, that we didn't get. Now with Tron, I feel like they kind of started to push out Tron a little bit in Legacy as well. I wasn't really expecting Tron, but still, like they did a huge disservice to all the fans, and that is the thing, is that there was a way to give us Sam, even with this current plot. Like even with the way that this was made, they could have still given him Sam, and they chose not to. Massive mistake. But the people that aren't mega fans of this movie, on the same hand, they aren't necessarily going to come see this and be like, where was Sam? Because clearly a lot of people didn't even see the original. So it's
I think that's kind of the problem, right? Is that Tron isn't this giant franchise like Star Wars or something. They're trying to do everything they can to make this as accessible as possible to most people and maybe grow a new audience. And I think they're feeling like the lore really isn't bringing people in. Let's try something different. Let's try spectacle over substance. Let's try to introduce some new characters. Let Jared Leto be the forefront of this thing. Let his star power.
9 years ago when they started this. Right.
I mean, it was he's the reason that this movie exists, because this movie doesn't exist without him pushing it. So I think that was their whole point of this movie even existing in the first place, is that Jared Leto wanted to do it. He wanted a star vehicle for himself. But I don't know how much he cares about the franchise if he let this slop get out the door. It's like, okay, did you really care about this, Jared Leto? Because you seem to like have completely gone away from what made Tron.
And
so I don't know how this moves forward. Like Badger says, like you're not going to get another one. I don't think they're growing new fans. It's like everything that we've seen from modern Hollywood. They try to attach themselves to a new fan base. All right, let's go get the modern audience. But then the modern audience rejected it. You pissed off the people that actually did like the franchise. So what are you left with? All right, you're left with an empty sack of nothing, declining interest in the franchise, even more so than there was. So I think at some point in time, Hollywood, Jared Leto would have been smart just to say, I want to do my own thing. I'm not going to attach it to the Tron name, and let me just go forward. And let's leave Tron to the Tron fans and let somebody who really cares about this franchise do the next movie.
Right.
That's what should have happened.
Well,
they
Jared
keep
Leto
undercutting like these creators like Leto. Sorry, Sev.
Well, Jared Leto's an egomaniac. So I honestly think that as long as the movie centered around him and what he wanted, he'll be happy with it regardless. But honestly, like I would be insulted, as a Tron fan, thinking that I'm going to get a 4-star meal and I end up getting a burger. But you know what? The vibes of the restaurant was cool. So I'm just going to accept it and move on. And like it is kind of insulting. Like you're going in there for a Tron movie and you're being served a shitty burger. And on the bright lights, the spectacle, the 9-inch nails, which I hated. I know a lot of people were talking about like the score and the soundtrack. I did not like it. It was just whiplash going back and forth. Nothing really happened in the first half of the movie. And then the second half, I was just like, I was even more bored. I don't care about the spectacle. The story is what mattered. And it just completely fell flat. And it's so insulting. Like I completely get it. But if it's all about the vibes for you and you're having fun, then that's completely fine. But, if you're using the analogy of a burger and, you're expecting a 4-star meal, but you're getting a burger, and you're totally fine eating the burger because it's good, it's fun. But honestly, like with using that analogy, if it's just insulting. Like you're expecting a really good meal
and then you end up getting a burger, but you're totally okay with it because the vibes of the restaurant was cool. Like
Well, worse if you paid for a good burger and got that's the problem.
Well, and even with the vibes, so I just want to compare this to another franchise, which is the Jurassic Park franchise. Bingo. I don't like those the most recent movies, but a lot of people love this most recent one, Rebirth, because it was set on an island. I'm sure I love seeing that, and they went back to basics in that regard. And plenty of people like those movies, but I didn't like this last one. I just prefer the original. I wish these stories would be taken seriously, have depth of themes and character development. And Jurassic Park, to me, I mean, maybe a lot of people view it the same way as Tron. It turned your brain off dumb adventure just with dinosaurs. But to me, that first movie, it went deeper. It examining the pitfalls of those who think they can play God and control a force of nature. But some of the most memorable parts of that film are simply characters talking to each other because the writing is so good. And I can't remember a single line of dialogue for any of the other Jurassic World movies. And that's just what I think just on vibes too. We didn't even see the grid for like most of the movie. I think it was just 20% of the film. When we were on the grid, it was so small. And then we
didn't see the grid. You saw a building within the grid.
Right.
Yeah, well, so even then, at least the Jurassic Park franchise gave you primarily dinosaurs, and at least in this new one, you're on an island and I know, but yeah, if you don't even have the primary vibes of it, I think it fell short. And I thought we would at least get half in the real world, half in the grid, because it said worlds colliding, and I didn't even get that. But yeah, that's just the vibes even then weren't working for me. And I even enjoyed Superman, the James Gunn Superman, because the least characters were that I liked, but I didn't even have that.
Purple Riot, Axel Braun made a better Tron movie. That's pretty funny.
I just hope we get a new one, because this is what we were served. Yeah. And with obviously they tease the next one, and you better give us the next one. I don't know who's going to write it.
Well, audience didn't respond to Tron.
So. What was the tease, Elaine? What was the tease that they set up for the next one?
Oh, it was Dillinger turning into
became Sark.
No, that's not the tease. It's the fucking third time we saw that picture of Sam and Cora and Jared going to look for her. But the one they knew we wanted it.
By the way, okay, so one thing I'm just weirded out by when it comes to ARES, he's still a Dillinger program. He's a super soldier military AI who's just now permanent in the real world now, and no one's concerned about this. He can literally do whatever he wants, and apparently, I don't know, can he not be de-resed or are we just assuming that he's going to live a peaceful life wherever?
And we don't know the same
worse,
Cora
he has
either,
an Asian fetish as well.
Be whatever Jesus, start his own cult. And
well, look,
that would mirror real life. He is a cult leader.